All right. Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today. Welcome to our second webinar of the month in celebration of DD Awareness Month. My name is Kelly Jacoby. I'm the Community Relations Specialist here at Delaware County Board of Developmental Disabilities. As usual, we will be recording today's session, so you're always going to be able to reference that back if you would like. We will always have time for questions. If you are joining us on the Zoom webinar, please utilize our Q&A box in the control panel. And then if you're on Facebook Live with us, please utilize that chat option. We are super excited. We have the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium with us today. Becky Nellis is going to be presenting for us. Becky is the Director of Curriculum and Partnerships for the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium. Throughout her career, she has been a champion for making the zoo as inclusive as possible. More recently, over the last 5 years, she has been partnering with Ohio State, us here at the Delaware County Board of Developmental Disabilities, Columbus Speech and Hearing, to develop resources and events for individuals with sensory needs. Speaking more on that, I'm going to go ahead and just pass it right on over to you, Becky. Thanks so much for joining us today, and we are excited to see what you have.
Oh, wonderful. Well, hello, everybody. I'm really excited to be here and share with you a little bit about what's happening at the zoo. So let me go ahead and share my screen and we can get started. All right. So as Kelly mentioned, I have throughout my career looked for ways to make the zoo more accessible, and specifically looking at how we can help people to be able to come and enjoy the zoo who maybe have not felt welcome here in the past. And so we have worked really hard to find ways to break down some of those barriers and create opportunities for families to be able to come and enjoy our facilities. And so I want to tell you a little bit about some of those programs and resources we have, and also just give you some updates about what's happening right now in the zoo. Okay, so as Kelly mentioned, we have quite a few partners that we've worked with along the way on this journey. Those are listed here on the screen. We could not do any of what we do without these partners. When we started on this journey, I will be truthful, it's not my area of expertise. So there was a group of us at the zoo who felt very strongly that we wanted to find ways to make the zoo more accessible and more inclusive. But we didn't really know where to start. And so having community partners who could work with us and help to guide some of the programming that we've been able to offer has been really, really important as we've been thinking through these different projects. One of the things that we're really excited about that we worked with Delaware County Board of Developmental Disabilities on was thinking about offering adult changing tables here at the zoo. And so we currently have one that's located over in our Adventure Cove region. But as we are thinking about new construction on our property, this is something that comes up often, is how can we create more of these spaces throughout the zoo to help to make that experience even better and hopefully extend the stay of our visitors who come to the zoo. Let me tell you a little bit about some of the things that you might see if you came to visit the zoo in the near future. So these are all updates from maybe about the last year or so. So if you haven't been here in a little while, hopefully this gives you some idea of some of the new exciting things that are going on. The first thing is my favorite. We have a brand new baby that was born here. Her name is Clementine. She's a baby orangutan that was born. She was born in late November. Her mom is Kaylee and her dad is Solongo. And she is currently out in areas where the public can see her kind of in the middle of the day from about 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. They just started letting her go outside. And so on beautiful days like today, she has the option to go out and explore out there a little bit. But at this point, you will probably always see her with her mom. So that's the key, is to kind of look for the females and check to see if you can see a little baby. Sometimes, you're just going to see a little hand or the top of her head. But every once in a while, you get these really great views and get an opportunity to really see her up close. So that was super exciting. She's the first baby orangutan that's been born here in many, many years. So the staff was really excited to welcome her here to the zoo. We also currently have a baby gorilla. The baby gorilla was born in September, and we are also super excited about her as well. We actually have had several grade 8 births. The baby gorilla, the baby orangutan. We also had a baby bonobo that was born this year. although the baby bonobo is not currently viewable by the public because she's in an area they're doing construction on the bonobo habitat. So, but you can definitely come and see this little baby Kwame anytime and check her out as well. We have some new manatees that are living here right now. So for those of you who aren't familiar with our zoo programs, we have a very thriving manatee rehabilitation and release program here at the zoo. And so each year we have babies that arrive here. They are going to stay here. We're a long-term care facility. And so they stay here until they're big enough to be released back out into the wild. It usually is about a year that they are here. And so the reason that they come to Ohio is because it allows people in Florida to have additional space for animals that maybe have a more critical need. Often the Florida facilities will take in animals that are more short-term stays, but with something like an orphan calf, they know that they're going to need to stay in a place like a zoo or aquarium to be able to get them up to that healthy weight where they can be released back out into the wild. One of the things that I always think is super interesting about these manatees is they like to release them when it starts to get a little bit colder, so that they will be able to be put in an area where there's lots of other manatees already there. And so that they kind of know where to go. If when it starts to get cold in Florida, they have to all kind of come in to warmer springs that are found throughout the state. So by releasing them in that winter time, they're already in those spaces that are going to be safe for them at that time of year. And then hopefully if they venture out, they're able to find their ways back to those locations. So right now we have 2 young males that are living here, and they are in that space with Stubby, who is our resident kind of surrogate mom. She has been here for many years, and she's amazing with the babies. She makes sure that they are healthy and thriving, able to get up and get air when they first get into that habitat. And she's been amazing for this partnership. So she's there with them. We also have fish, so a sea turtle that lives in that habitat. So it's a great place to stop by. Even if the weather isn't quite as warm, I think, we may still have a few cold days left. So that's a great spot to stop by if you're looking for somewhere warm to stop and explore. And then one of my favorites that came here about a year ago is our weedy sea dragons. So weedy sea dragons are part of the seahorse family, but they're large. They can grow to be about 18 inches long. And so these animals are found in the nocturnal building that is over in the Australia and the Islands area. But they are so interesting to watch. They have great camouflage with those fins. And different colors, and so they're very, very interesting animals to check out. So again, another one that if you're here and it's a little bit chillier, it's a great place to hang out to see them. And then my last animal update is Frankie. So Frankie is always a favorite of all of ours. He is now several years old. But he still is noticeably smaller than the adults. If you come to visit, he definitely still looks like a baby, but he's a big baby. He's about 2,800 pounds at this point. And so elephants will continue to grow until they're about 21 years old. So he still has quite a bit of growing left to do, but it's a lot of fun to get to come and visit him. I actually walked up there today. It's so nice and warm that he was out playing in the water. And enjoying his time out with the rest of his herd. So he's always out there with his mom and usually several other females that are going to be out there enjoying the sunshine with him. So another great animal to visit if you're here visiting the zoo. That are happening besides animal updates that I wanted to let you all know about is starting tomorrow night, we have a new event that is offered here at the zoo that's called Unextinct. It is kind of the first of its kind in the zoo world. There's one other zoo who has tried this. We're the second, but it is an event where you come and you're going to learn about animals that are either recently extinct or near extinction. And what they do is it's almost kind of like a light show type event where they're going to have different animals that are lit up, moving through different exhibit spaces. And it's really kind of an art installation exploring this idea. So to give you an idea of kind of what it looks like, here's one of those examples of an animal that would be projected as you're walking through. They do move. and you can check out about 70 different species that are found throughout the zoo. This is because it is a nighttime event, it is a separately ticketed event. So this is a little bit different than things we've tried in the past. It's something that you need to pre-purchase tickets for. We will sweep the zoo grounds at the end of the day, and then people who have tickets for this event will come in to go and enjoy it. I do want to make everyone aware, though, that as you're enjoying this event, there are some flashing lights, and it also has quite a bit of like black light happening. So like this is the tunnel, and there's a lot of black light effects in there. So if that's something that maybe you're sensitive to, just keep that in mind before you consider coming to explore that event and that opportunity. The Evolve system is coming to the zoo. So if any of you have visited Zumbezi Bay, you may have already seen this. We installed this at Zumbezi Bay several years ago, and now it's coming to the zoo. And so this is a safety system. It'll be out in front of the zoo. So before you get to the zoo entrance, you're going to see this. And they are going to have everyone who is visiting the zoo walk through here to be able to make sure that that they're monitoring for weapons, anything that you're not able to bring into the zoo, so that they are able to stop that before people come in. You may be asked to have your bag checked when you come through that. So that's something else to be aware of, that might happen when you're coming to visit the zoo this summer. It is supposed to be installed around Memorial Day, is when that construction should finish and allow people to come in. But as of this week, they have fenced off quite a bit of the entrance to the zoo. It is still accessible and you can still get in, but it's a little bit trickier. So I just want to make everybody aware that when you're coming, just be a little bit patient with what that looks like. All of the handicap parking is still available, and you can still get in with wheelchairs, but you may have to walk around a little bit to be able to access where the best location is to get into the zoo. My recommendation would be that when you arrive at the zoo, when you get to the parking booths, that you maybe ask them if you are concerned about finding the most direct route into the zoo, ask them where they would recommend you park, because I think it's going to change throughout this construction process. So just being aware that you might want to be located on one side versus the other of the parking might make it easier for you to be able to enter the zoo. And then my last big update for other exciting things that are happening at the zoo is we are currently building a whole new section of our North America region here at the zoo. That region is now going to be called North America Trek, and phase 1 will open in summer of 2025. So a little over a year from now. However, if you have been to the zoo recently, there is a lot of construction in the North America region of the zoo. And so, again, it is accessible. You can get up there, but I just want people to understand that you are really going to have to walk quite a ways up the hill into North America to get to a place where you can see the animals. Really, you're almost all the way up to the polar frontier region, if that means anything to you, before you're going to see a lot of animals. So there are still areas that are open. This summer, Heart of Africa will be open and you'll have to access it that way. But just be aware that they are completely redoing this area. The exciting thing about that, though, is that we're going to have some really great new exhibits. So in the area right at the front of North America, they're going to actually move the otters down to right at the entrance of North America. We're going to have some larger spaces for the Mexican wolves and the black bears. And so I think this whole area is going to be really, really a great space to be able to visit and explore. But in the meantime, there's a little bit of growing pains along with that as well. I want to tell you a little bit about some of the resources that can make your visit a little bit more enjoyable when you come to see us, so that you can check those out and keep them in mind for your visit. If you go to our website, you can see that up in the upper right-hand corner where I have that red circle, it says Plan Your Visit. If you click on that, you're going to see an accessibility tab. And when you go into that accessibility section, it's going to list all of the different resources that we have that are going to hopefully make your visit more enjoyable. That area includes things like social stories that are going to help you to prepare to come and visit the zoo. Right now on the zoo's website, we have a more detailed social story than what you would find on the Culture City app, which I'll talk about in just a minute. We also are going to be adding this year social stories for Zambezi Bay and the Wilds. So those will both be on their individual websites so that you can go and access those as well. Sensory maps are available for the zoo to give you an idea of areas that might have stronger smells or have louder areas, to help you navigate your visit and think about where you might want to go to see things. We also have a rides and attractions accessibility guide that is located on our website. This guide is going to tell you about each of our experiences and things that you might want to consider, different special requirements for those rides, as well as what the sensory ratings would be for each of those experiences to hopefully help you to prepare for what might work best for your family. We have communication boards that are available. These are on the website that you can download and use. They also are available in a hard form in our guest relations building. So right when you enter the zoo, you can go into that office and they have copies that you can borrow that are like a large laminated copy for guests to be able to access. The zoo, the Wilds, and Zambezi Bay, all three of our properties are Culture City certified locations. And so what that means is our team goes through a training that they send us each year to learn a little bit more about sensory processing disorders. We also are going to have a variety of resources that come from this organization specifically. One of those resources is the sensory inclusive bag. So the sensory inclusive bag is going to have items like headphones, sunglasses, fidgets. This is something that you can borrow from the zoo, from our guest relations team. And they're going to ask for a $10 refundable deposit. So when you return the bag, then you're going to get that $10 back. It just helps us to make sure that we get all of our items back at the end of the day. So this is one of the options that's available to you. We also have signage throughout the zoo that is linked to Culture City. So for example, if you have an issue with loud noises, you're going to see that there's a sign on the doors of our buildings or on areas like the tunnel that can be very, very loud that are going to remind people that you might want to put on headphones in those spaces to be able to enjoy them fully. We also have some areas that are designated as quiet areas. So we've looked at the zoo map and kind of found spaces that maybe are less traveled and encourage people to go into those areas as well. If you maybe just need some quiet time to get away from the crowds, those spots are nice spots to be able to take a break. Different programs and events. We have quite a few events that we offer for people to come and explore the zoo. The first is our sensory friendly events. So this is definitely one of our staff's favorite things that we get to do throughout the year. We have a team of people that work with our sensory friendly events so that families can come and enjoy some of the same activities that we would have out on zoo grounds, but in a quiet, more accessible area. So these events take place in the Susie Edwards Conservation Education classrooms, which is right outside the front gate of the zoo. So you would pre-register for this event. You would come in and depending on the event, we have different things happening in the building. We have coming up in several weeks, we're going to have our sensory friendly Easter Bunny. So during an event like that, we have the Easter Bunny there. We also would have one of our costume characters that's dressed up as an egg that kids can come in and talk with. When you make that reservation, we purposefully plan on families being able to spend up to about 15 minutes in those spaces with those characters. And that's just to allow you the time you need to be able to talk with them, spend time with them. If it maybe takes members of your family a little longer to be able to feel confident and want to go up and talk with the Easter Bunny, we want to make sure that you have the time to be able to do that and you don't feel rushed. We do not have the photographers that are like at those events necessarily out in the zoo are not going to be there doing paid photographs. So we just encourage families to bring their own cameras and enjoy that event kind of in a more intimate setting. Those events, we have a variety of them throughout the year. So like I mentioned, we have the Easter Bunny. In the fall, we have the sensory friendly character meet and treat. So that's a Halloween event where you can come and we have characters that are dressed up in different Halloween costumes and come and visit with them. We also do a sensory friendly Santa meet and greet. So all of those are options throughout the year. In that same building space, we also have a calming room, and that calming room serves multiple purposes. But during the sensory friendly events, we do have that space open for families in case they do need to take a moment to be able to relax. We have a bubble wall that's on one wall, and then several activities and things for people to be able to utilize when they're in that space, even if it's just that they need to wait a few minutes before their turn to be able to go and see the different characters and experience that event. This calming room is also available for our program participants. So things like our summer camp programs, our preschool programs, all take place in this same building. And we use the calming room with all of those programs. So we, encourage families to let us know if their child maybe would need a space like this. But also sometimes we just have kiddos that are just having a tough day, and having a space where they can maybe take a little bit of time to calm down is a great opportunity. With our camp programs, we do have a camp inclusion specialist who works with those programs and provides support to campers that may need some additional assistance. We still encourage you, though, that if your child is used to having like a one-on-one aid, that we are absolutely willing to accommodate that, and definitely encourage you to talk with us and help us figure out what's going to work best for your child in these experiences. We also do some sensory friendly after hours events. And so this is one of our events that we've done for the last couple of years. It's very popular, our sensory friendly after hours at Zoombezi Bay. And so this is an event that will take place in August where families can purchase a discounted ticket to be able to come and enjoy Zoombezi Bay. We do not have all of the slides open. And the reason behind that is that we are trying to kind of walk a line between what works well for families and to make sure that they're accessible, but also recognizing that there are some things that people with sensory needs may have challenges with. So for example, we have the children's water area open so that they can go and they can explore and play in there, but there's a large bucket that dumps water, and every time before it dumps water, it makes a very loud buzzing noise. So we turn off the bucket during this event. We also have some spaces that are that the slides have really deep water or things that we feel could be dangerous. So some of those things may be closed. So if you're thinking that you want to come to this event, I just encourage you to make sure that you read the description and understand what that event's going to look like and make sure that it's the right fit for your family. We do usually have the characters there so families can see them, and lots of other really great resources that night. So it's definitely a fun event for everyone. Calendar of all of our events. So I wanted to share with you the dates for these things. So sensory friendly Easter Bunny and Spring Quiet Hours will happen on the same day. That Spring Quiet Hours is throughout the entire zoo, where we're going to try to minimize as many of the noises that we can. Again, there are things that we can't necessarily control. So for example, one of those things is the railroad crossing up in North America. We have to have the noise that goes off when they put down the crossbars for the train. We also have to have the safety talk that's at the beginning of all of our rides. So there are some things like that that are still in place, but we turn off all of the music, we turn off any of the videos that are in the buildings, and we just really try to minimize that noise as much as possible. So those two things will happen on the same day. I just talked about Zoombezi Bay Quiet After Hours. That's August 23rd. Fall Quiet Hours and the sensory friendly Halloween character experience also happen on the same day. So it's the same situation as the Spring Quiet Hours. We'll try to minimize as much noise throughout the zoo as we can. And then that's happening at the same time as that Halloween character experience. We do a sensory friendly light stroll. This is one of my favorite opportunities to welcome people to the zoo because we do it the night before Wild Lights opens for staff and members and all of those things. So it is earlier in that week. We cap the attendance at right around 1,000 people, I believe, which means that really there are very, very few people on zoo grounds. It's a really nice, quiet experience. Because we are trying to make it more sensory friendly, we do turn off all of the noise in the zoo. So there's no music playing, none of the videos, all of those things. We also make the lights static. So instead of having a lot of flashing lights happening, all of that is turned off so that it's just all of the lights are on. That does mean that we do not have the light show happening that night. So I just like to make people aware that that evening, all of the lights that are around the lake that would normally be part of the show are just turned on for people to be able to enjoy. But it's a lovely evening, and I definitely encourage you to come and check that out if you haven't participated in the past. And then in December, we'll do our sensory friendly Santa experience, which is just like I said with the Easter Bunny. We spend about 15 minutes per family visiting with Santa. And being able to take your family photos. And so often we have people tell us that their family would never be able to go and see Santa here at Wildlights because it's just too crazy and too long of a line. But with sensory friendly Santa, they have that opportunity to be able to go in and have that more one-on-one time with Santa. So what's next? What do we have going on at the zoo? The one event that I really wanted to share with you this evening that I'm excited about is we have a blind, deaf, and deaf blind accessibility event that's going to be happening on June 9th. And so this is the first time we've tried offering anything like this, but we're really, really excited about it. So during that event, we will have things like ASL interpreters at many of our experiences. So things like our keeper talks or the presentations, the animal presentations that we have happening on grounds. We also will have our zoo volunteers out at stations with different tactile items so people can explore those. And then we have a variety of community partners that will be here talking about different resources that they can share with this community. So we are excited to see how it goes. I always say whenever we try something like this for the first time, we really rely on everyone's feedback to tell us what works for them and what doesn't. So you are never going to hurt our feelings by telling us that there's something that maybe you wish we had done differently. We want these events to work for you and your family. So we're going to try this and see how it goes. I'm sure there will be things that we will want to change and improve upon in the future. And so please let us know if there's something about that event that, or any of our events for that matter, that would make it more welcoming and more accommodating for your family. And I think that that is about everything I have for all of my updates, but I would love to answer any questions that anybody has. You know,
Awesome. Thank you, Becky. Can you hear
yeah,
me okay?
yeah, I can.
Okay, wonderful. So I know we had a question that came through while you were presenting on the new map that's coming out and the updates with construction. Is the tram still going to be going back and forth from the different locations? Is there going to be any change in that route?
I believe that the tram, so there's two trams. There's the tram that's out in the parking lot, and then there's the one that goes up to Polar Frontier. I believe that the one that goes up to Polar Frontier will still be working, and I think that the one out in the parking lot will start up once the Evolve system is in place. So it's just it may take us a little while. I'll tell you with the North America one, the one that goes up to Polar Frontier, I think there could be times when it's not open, so depending on what's happening with construction at that point. So I would encourage you that before you come to the zoo, if you plan to use that, to contact us and ask and find out whether or not that's operating that day. Normally it would open this spring and be available then for throughout the summer.
All right, looks like we have another question that came through asking about if all of the staff at the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium are trained on the maps, or if there's a certain office that should be, seeked out beforehand about questions or anything during the actual visit.
Yeah, absolutely. I would encourage you, if you have questions during the actual visit, to go to the guest relations office. They are located right at the front of the zoo, and they should be able to give you some of that information. The other people that are really helpful are our adult volunteers and docents that are out on zoo grounds. So you would see, especially the docents, are almost always wearing red, and they are a wealth of information. And we're working really hard to make sure that they have all the resources needed so that they could help if somebody was having a challenge during their visit. But definitely the guest relations team, if they don't know the answer, they would be able to get a hold of somebody who could.
Awesome. Is the accessibility guide available at the information area? And then second part of the question says, are there quiet or loud zones? The adult changing table, is all of that information listed with on the general zoo map? Are those kind of pinpointed there?
It is on the in that accessibility section of our website, has all of that information in there, and available for you. I would also say, before you come for a visit, check out our new zoo app. There's a Columbus Zoo app that you can actually see all of that accessibility information as well. It's put into a format that it more or less links to our website, and it is in a format that you can read on your phone and access all of those maps right there. We also have some different tools in that app that can maybe make your visit a little bit more enjoyable. Also, it helps you to kind of plan out where you're going to go, and they can honestly update some of the information about what's happening with like that tram or animal areas more easily there than they can on the paper map. There definitely is a paper map available, but the website and the app are going to be probably the most up-to-date pieces of information.
Looks like we have another question coming in. We have a watch party joining us, so it looks like these are coming in from our watch party.
Oh, great.
Let's see, are the sensory friendly events included with a general membership, or is there additional costs? Are those separate? Is there a change in cost if you're a member, etc.?
So the sensory friendly events, the Easter Bunny, the meet and treat, and the Santa events do have a fee to them. We charge $5 for a group. So I believe it's a group of 8. I'm not totally positive, but I think it's up to 8 people. And really, truthfully, the main reason that we do that is just to make sure that people who sign up really intend to come. So there is a $5 fee, regardless of whether you're a member or not. And then if you want to go enter the zoo, then you would use your membership to enter the zoo. People who are not members would then purchase tickets just like they would at any other time. And the after hours events have, I believe, are usually just one rate. I don't know that there's a member rate specifically for that, but they're a reduced rate from our normal admission.
Okay, kind of on the same topic of membership and payment, if I know you touched on it a little bit, but if a caregiver or a provider is accompanying somebody to the zoo, do they purchase an additional ticket? Is there proof that needs to be had? Could you talk a little bit about how that might look?
Sure, yes. So
Thanks.
if you, I will be honest with you, I'm not a membership expert or ticket expert, but if you go to our website in that accessibility section, there's a complete description of what our policy is. They will allow you to be have somebody who's registered as a caretaker that's going to come in with you, but they do require some documentation. And so if you look on there, it'll give you the very specific needs that they have for that documentation and how you submit that, so that you can get approved for that visit.
Awesome. The calming room, is that available during regular zoo hours? Can that be, I think you said it's outside of the main entrance, so is that accessible from inside the zoo?
So how that works, that space we in general use primarily for program participants and people who are there for our events, because it's in a lockdown building. It's a building that we use with kids, and so it is usually locked down. However, if you were on zoo grounds and the space to be able to calm down, if you find somebody like one of our security guards, they are able to take you and escort you and open up that building to be able to give you that access to that space. But in general, we don't necessarily have it open to the general public for access throughout the day.
Awesome. I had a personal question. How do
Yeah.
you transport the manatees to and
Oh,
from Florida?
well, that is one of my favorite topics. So I'll tell you all about the manatees. So the manatees, because they're a marine mammal, they breathe air and they don't have to be in water. So that's the first thing, is that they actually, behind the scenes here at the zoo, we have a large crane that has a sling, and they lower the crane down into the water, and then they use that sling to lift up the manatee out of the water. And then they have more or less a large crate. It's open on the top, but it has this really thick foam in it. And they put the manatees down in there with the thick foam, and the manatees can move around. There's quite a bit of space in there. And then when we transport them, we have a zookeeper go with them, as well as vet staff is going to travel with them. They take water tanks with them, and they spray them throughout the entire process. So they spray them down with water while they're driving them. They take them to the airport. And we fly them on cargo planes. And so they'll load them onto a cargo plane and get them down to Florida. And then they go through a whole process again. They take them off the plane, put them on a truck, take them to wherever they're going to stay. They usually are at a facility in Florida for several months before they get released, so that they can acclimate, and they start feeding them the food that they would eat in the wild, because here at the zoo, they're primarily eating romaine lettuce. And so when they get down there, they have to start eating other foods that are available to them. And then they try to release them as close to the place where they were found as they possibly can. So they find a safe location that's close to that area. And then they work with Florida Fish and Wildlife and a variety of other agencies to be able to release them back out into the wild. It is one of my favorite programs that we do here at the zoo. So rarely is there an opportunity to take an animal who is endangered and or threatened, and be able to release them back out into the wild, because usually there just isn't even habitat for them. But with these guys, we actually have the opportunity to do that, and so it's something that we're really proud of and really excited to be a part of.
That's awesome. I always wondered how they transport these large
Yeah.
animals. Do they transport a giraffe the same way? Like, how does that work?
A giraffe would go on a truck. So I know. So full disclosure, my husband is a manatee keeper, so I know a whole lot about the manatees. In other areas, it's a little bit trickier, but giraffes, I believe that they also are able to put them in a crate. And then they have to plan a route that doesn't have any overpasses or anything, because they're going to be standing up that whole time. So you have to make sure that it has a high enough clearance for the giraffes to be able to go. So they are a little bit trickier. I don't think they fly them. I think they always drive them.
That would be an interesting sight on the highway, I would
Yeah.
say.
Yep.
That's wonderful. It looks like we did have a couple other questions come through. This is a question about your community partners that you've worked with so far, about all the initiatives for inclusion and accessibility at the zoo. Do you have any partners that you would like to collaborate with in the future?
Oh, we are always open to new partners. I think, like I said earlier, this is not my area of expertise. It's just something that I am really passionate about, and I want people to come and enjoy the zoo as much as I do. And so we really rely on partners to be able to provide these opportunities. Truthfully, the reason that we are doing the Blind, Deaf, and Deafblind Day in June is because Columbus Speech and Hearing expressed an interest in offering something like that. And we were like, okay, how can we collaborate and make that happen? And so if there are people in the community who are interested in working with us, I definitely encourage you to reach out to me. I would be happy to connect and talk about if there's ways we can work together.
Awesome. If anybody has any like suggestions or questions, is that something that they can also find on the website about any of the inclusive and accessible initiatives that you guys have?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything pretty much that I talked about today is all on our website, with all of those details.
Awesome. Looks like we had one more pop in here about the information about events. Do you have a newsletter, an email listserv that people can sign up for? I know obviously you have it all over your Facebook and your
Yeah.
email, or I'm sorry, and your website. But if there's kind of like a newsletter that goes out on a regular basis or anything?
Yeah, and actually, let me see. I'm gonna put in the chat my email address. Okay. And so if you were interested in receiving that information, if you want to email me directly, I can add you to our email list. Over the years, we have actually uh really built a list of people primarily off of the events that we have offered. And so when people sign up for like a sensory friendly event, then we capture all those emails and we do send out information about, hey, this thing is coming up. You may want to sign up. And so usually we don't completely sell out of things by doing that, but they definitely get a head start on signing up for those events. So if you would like to be a part of that, absolutely, please let me know and I'd be happy to add you to our list.
Awesome. I'm just checking here. It looks like we have some friends joining us on Facebook. Thank you guys for joining us. It looks like we don't have any questions coming through right now.
Okay.
Our Q&A looks like has no activity right now.
All right.
I'll ask another random question.
That's
What are
fine.
your
Go ahead.
thoughts on this pregnant stingray?
Oh, so I will be honest, I had not heard about it until my teenage daughter mentioned it to me, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, that's crazy." I so this is totally my personal belief. I have not actually even really talked to zoo people about this, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe one of the stingrays that are in that habitat is actually a male. And they maybe it didn't realize it or that would be the most logical conclusion in my mind. But who knows? I'm excited to find out what
I love it. Do you guys have any, I guess kind of piggybacking off of that question a little bit, do you guys have any live streams of animals? Is that something that you do periodically? Again, assuming that's found on the website as well.
Yeah, I don't think we do currently, but I'm not positive to be 100% truthful with you. At one point, we did have some of those live streams, but I think when we revamped our website, we don't have them currently up. But we do have quite
Awesome.
a few we have a YouTube channel that has fabulous videos. And so I always encourage people, if you are a zoo fan and want to learn more about the work we do, definitely check out the YouTube channel because they kind of have all the best video clips that we've ever had are all on that channel.
That's wonderful. Thank you. I think that wraps up our webinar today.
Right?
Oh, we have another question.
Oh,
Does the zoo have a TikTok?
um, occasionally. It's not as heavily used as our other social media channels. So definitely we're still a little old school and we primarily use Facebook and Instagram and like I mentioned YouTube, but I don't they post every once in a while on TikTok, but not as often as some other organizations might.
Wonderful. Well, that really kind of wraps us up.
All right.
I appreciate you giving us all of this information. It's always good to kind of have an overview of all the new initiatives that you have. Things are constantly changing, and we really appreciate all the work that you guys have done putting into the Columbus Zoo Aquarium to really make that accessible and inclusive to everybody. So thank you so much for joining us today, Becky. We do appreciate that. For those of you joining us, I do want to remind you that we do have a few more webinars joining us for the rest of the month in celebration of DD Awareness Month. So you will see us next on March 21st for a webinar with adaptive shoes and clothing from zappos.com. Please check out our website, our Facebook page as well for all the rest of our initiatives that are coming for the rest of the month. So thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you guys soon.
Thank you,
Thanks again,
everyone.
Becky.